Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Around South Jersey. I have a special guest today, the Pride in Millville Award winner, Craig Atkinson. Craig, good to see you.
Thanks, Jim. Glad to be here.
Well, congratulations. Very well earned. And I know that we want to talk, first of all, about your career, as you were growing up and things, and then we'll talk about all the good things you're still doing now. Craig is president of the Thunderbolt Club, and that's been rocking and rolling and doing phenomenal. And Craig also is the master of ceremonies for the award ceremony and things like that we do. But you grew up in Millville, right?
Right. Born and raised in Millville. Grew up in East Millville. Went to Culver School.
Who was your favorite teacher at Culver School?
My favorite teacher at Culver School was probably Mrs. Satterley in 6th grade.
Okay. I have a funny story. She was probably gone by the time you were there. There was a Miss Robinson that taught 6th grade. And anyway, I substituted when I was 17 and 18 in the Millville School District. So they had called me in for 2 days to sub for her because apparently once a year she would go get a medical and take off a couple of days for that. So I'm teaching the class, and the kid's great and all that stuff. And I don't know if you know Ann Daly. She taught there too.
Yeah, I remember her. Yeah.
She's my cousin, and Ann used to fly planes and all that stuff. So you as you know, you all went home for lunch.
Right.
There was no cafeteria there.
Well, we went downtown.
Yeah, well, you probably went to a goodie shop or someplace, right? So anyway, I come back in after lunch, and Ann goes, "Jim, come here. I want to talk to you." I said, "What's the matter?" She said, "Come here. I'll tell you something." So she said, "I want to tell you, when you walk in that classroom, something's going to happen, but it's not bad. So it's a little bit of a surprise for you, but it's not bad." I said, "Okay." It's like, "What is this?" So I walk in the classroom, and all of a sudden the kids get up and they roll fruit up the aisle to me.
Oh, really?
It was like a fruit basket. And then they said that was a tradition at Culver way back called the fruit roll.
Right.
So if the kids liked you, that they did that.
They rolled the fruit up.
Yeah, I'll never forget. That was pretty cool. And was Miss Gerlach your principal? Do you remember?
No, Mr. Muskelly was
that's
principal
right.
then.
And it was
she might have been there early.
Yeah, she was, because when I was there, she was still principal of Sensor and Culver.
Yeah.
And she scared me and the kids as well. Boy, she'd get
Right.
that window, tap those keys.
Right.
Remember?
We'd be on the playground.
Yeah.
She'd be up on that 3rd floor window,
Yeah.
smacking that window if we were misbehaving.
You remember, yes.
Yes.
So we all
Mrs.
remember
Gerlach.
her, that's for sure. In fact, it's funny, Denise Arrigo taught at Culver School. She's only a few years older than you, but I know she said Bob Muskelly was her principal when she taught there before she moved to the high school and
Right.
stuff like that. But always knew Bob from Trinity Methodist Church. She was very much involved there as well. So you lived on the east side.
I live on 13th Street, right?
Oh, okay, wow.
Yeah. So I basically watched the senior high school being built, the new senior high school in 63, 64 when it opened. So, but the funny story about Culver School is Tim Shannon and I obviously went to school together, and
Oh, that's right.
he was in a different class in 6th grade, and we were having recess, and he was playing a softball or a kickball game on one field, and I was playing on another field, but the outfielders kind of crisscrossed the fields, and a ground ball came to me, and I tried to throw the ball to get the person going from first to second out, and Tim happened to be in the way, and it hit him right in the back of the head.
Now I know what happened.
And it took him off his feet. And he always said I did that on purpose, but I really didn't. That was an accident, Tim. Really, I didn't mean it. But so that was a funny story about Culver School.
So after Culver, did you go to Bacon or did you come out? You
No,
came to junior high, right?
We went to the junior high, which was 7th, 8th, and 9th.
Yeah, I taught them. Who did you have in 7th grade? Do you remember?
So 7th grade was Mr. Thomas.
Yeah. And Mrs. Bennett, wasn't it? Miss Bennett?
Well, no, they had the first-year teacher named Miss Gavinovich.
Oh, okay.
And I don't think she taught in Millville very many years.
Yeah.
And then in 8th grade, I had Frank McDonald and Mrs. O'Brien for math and science. And in 9th grade, we started our high school career in the same school.
Yeah, it was interesting. In 1966, January of 66, again, I had been subbing. And what they had was in the seventh grade, they had 45 kids in each classroom. So they said, we really need to depopulate the classrooms.
Right.
So they hired me to teach math and science and Mrs. McDonough to teach history and English. So we ended up, everybody had 35 kids instead of 45 kids. But this is a cute story. I was only, 19, I guess, when I started teaching 7th grade. So I went up to Genesis to see a friend of mine who was in there, and the lady in front of me said she wanted to know what room Dave Warner was in. And so I said, would that be the Dave Warner I taught in school? And she looked at me and she goes, no, he's 71 years old. You couldn't have taught him in school. And maybe I did.
Right.
And I do want to extend my condolences to Dave's family. He did pass away, but he was a real good student. And but yes, one of those situations where I was one of the youngest I'm sure they ever had. But then it was so hard to find teachers. I mean,
Right.
at 17, I'm substituting. And
Right.
my first class was Joan Suey Cooper at Miss Baumhoff's class at Wood School. But I tell you what, I was going nights and summers to Glassboro, and I realized I really loved teaching. I loved the kids. I enjoyed, the classes, and they wouldn't let me go to high school, obviously, that young, but I did go to Bacon School, so I was up to 8th grade there.
Right.
And then, of course, when they switched over to 7, 8, 9 at the junior high, I got to teach 7th grade math science and then I went and taught special ed for 2 years, and I went back to math and science.
Right.
Mr. Van Gilder was our principal.
Yeah, Mr. Van Gilder was a principal when I was in school,
Yeah.
and actually Larry Miller was the disciplinarian
That's right. He was
at
like
the junior
assistant.
high
Yeah.
when I was
Yeah.
there. So,
Yeah, good guy.
yeah,
Larry.
very good guy.
He really was.
And then Mr. Van Gilder's brother was our, I think, English teacher in 9th grade.
Yeah,
So
I remember Neil.
he was an interesting character.
He sure was. I was going to say, thank you. Yes, I agree. Very well put.
Right, right.
Did you ever remember a guy named Bruce Linder?
Bruce Linder. It sounds familiar, but I
He
can't place
probably
it.
would have, I don't know if taught science or whatever in 9th grade. Well, obviously we all would get in the teacher's room, and Bruce was in phenomenal shape. He was only 25 or whatever, great shape. And he went and he bought a motorcycle. I said, "Ooh, Bruce, I don't know. I don't like motorcycles. They're dangerous." Well, unfortunately, he ends up having an accident on the Walt Whitman Bridge with his motorcycle and lost his leg. So I thought, but he was a really good person. And, there were, Mr. Thomas, like you said. I got to tell you, the funny things that go in your head. Al Thomas, I think his name was. He was the only person I had ever met, and maybe there are some, maybe you know some, that eat peanuts, shell and all.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he ate the whole shell.
I
with
didn't
a
know
peanut.
that.
It's
I don't know, buddy.
okay. I don't either. But.
Well, the funny thing about Mr. Thomas is he lived in Vineland.
Yeah.
And the year I had him, I remember we were talking about the Vineland Millville game, and I said like something about, he was bragging up on Vineland, and I said, wait till you see what Bob Abbott does to Homiak. I think the guy's name was Dave Homiak
Yes,
for
it was.
Vineland.
Yeah.
And Mr. Thomas said, who? And then one of the other guys in the class said, you're not a very big fan. You don't even know the players' names. So, but that's something from 7th grade, I remember that for some reason.
It is interesting, isn't it? Yeah. I had Mr. Barbos, who was the Tony Cerace at that time. He was the head football coach, and I really liked him. And I used to get to go run errands for him during class. He'd give me stuff, and I had a car, so I'd go run errands for him. But he was really a neat guy, and I'd not heard a lot of good things about him from friends, I guess, whose kid didn't play where they thought he would play and all that kind of stuff. And then that leads me to the big story making Action News is playing positions. I started covering Millville High School football in 1969. And I was the color commentator for Vic Ziegler. And in 71, I took over doing play-by-play. And that's when you were playing, right? In 73, 74, 75.
Right. So,
73,
72, 73, 74.
Right, because you graduated
Seasons
75.
of, right.
Yeah, right. But I'll never forget, Timmy started out as quarterback, and you were a wide receiver?
No. I was a quarterback, but our sophomore year, Dennis McCaffrey was the quarterback.
Oh, that's right. I do remember.
And he had some problems in school, and we were playing Holy Cross. It was Coach Race's first year as head coach.
Right.
And I guess Dennis couldn't play in the game, and so Tim played in the game against Holy Cross.
Oh, that's how Tim got to.
And I was second-string quarterback. I didn't play hardly at all as a sophomore, if any. But
Look at this. You got
Yeah,
Jackson,
Well, that's my college. That's a picture of my
that's
college
college.
guys.
Oh, because I know
Donnie
Bluestone.
Jackson, John Costans, Bill Blystone, who was an All-American, Billy Kirshner. They were guys in the backfield when I was at Westchester for most of my career.
Well, it's
So-
funny. Tony Cerace tells me the story, which obviously you're well aware of, is that, and now I understand. Tim went in for McCafferty, and I didn't realize you were the number 2 quarterback. But somewhere down the road, I guess Cerace said, "Wait a minute, I think Craig should be the quarterback," and Tim went, I think, as a wide receiver or something. And then he said something to you two guys, and you both said, "Yeah, we thought the same thing." Is
Well,
that right?
Tim said it's about time.
Yeah,
Put
that was
me
it.
in there.
Yeah, that was one.
Our junior year, he started off the season, and we were mediocre, and then we went on a 3-game losing streak.
Ooh.
And so I played in the second half of the mainland game. We still got beat. And then I started in the county series, and we won the county series that year. We beat Bridgeton and Vineland, and were county champs for my junior year. And I made all county, and Tim made all county as a wide receiver.
right.
And so it was tough for Tim because he had some real small guys to throw to, and I had him to throw to, so
Yeah,
it made it a
he's a
little
taller person,
bit
right?
easier. And then, he played safety and wide receiver as a senior, and I played quarterback and a little bit of defense, but mostly quarterback.
So, well, let's back up. Did you play in the midget league?
I did. I played. Actually, I tell everybody I played for City National Bank to start off, and Frank Menz was our coach. I don't know if you remember Frank
Yeah.
Menz,
Mhm.
but the first night of practice, when I was 8 or 9 years old at Bacon School, we had practice, and he asked everybody to get into the position where they thought they wanted to play. And I didn't even get into position. He looked at me. He said, "You're a quarterback."
Oh, no kidding.
So Frank Menz was the guy
Wow,
that made
that's
me
cool.
a quarterback.
Were you? I guess you were taller than the.
Yeah, I was
average kid.
tall, skinny, little,
Yeah.
kid. But so I played quarterback ever since.
Wow, that's cool.
8 years old. But we became Rob's Raiders when Rob Shannon had the sporting goods store.
Right. Yeah.
He sponsored us as Rob's Raiders, and Max Pettit became head coach.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing I remember about Max was he would always challenge us to races, 40-yard dashes, and he'd beat every one of us.
No kidding. Wow.
Absolutely. He was fast.
The only place I saw him running fast was to get to John's Bar.
But also, Jimmy Smith was our quarterback coach and our
Oh, no
offensive
kidding.
coordinator.
Jimmy and I went to school.
So they were
Yeah.
buddies, and he got him to come
Well,
out.
that's good. Jim had plenty of experience
Yeah.
too. Which is-
Yeah, so Midget League was fun, and we played behind City Hall. Most of the time was muddy.
Yeah.
And I remember we got the clock from Wheaton Field donated one
that's
year,
neat.
and it was the clock that the seconds went around the whole thing,
That's cool.
and so you could watch the time go like that. And so yeah, that was a lot of fun. There was four teams in the league, and I learned a lot.
Yeah.
Played with a lot of good guys. Still friends with a lot of the guys that I played with and against in Midget League. So
Yeah, I'm sure.
it was a really good league, and I think we won a championship my last year. Bill McCafferty coached the Millville National Bank team,
Mhm.
and Jimmy Parent coached local 219,
Right.
and then I think Stan Springstead had coached the Eagles team.
Mhm.
The red team was the Eagles,
I
and
see.
like his sons Bruce and Mike played for him for the Eagles,
Right.
and it was a really good league and a lot of fun. And Art Harris was the referee every
Yeah.
game,
Yeah.
So,
He was a great guy.
and we ended
Yeah.
up putting him in the Millville Sports Hall of Fame
Yeah, well, he
one
deserved
year.
it. That's
and
neat.
good old Art Harris. He
Yeah.
was the referee, and we'd argue with him and all kinds of stuff. It was a lot of fun.
We're talking with Craig Atkinson about his great football career, and we're going to talk about his professional career. And of course, Craig is being honored on the Thursday, which would be the 24th?
22nd.
Yeah, 22nd at the Levoy Theater, and it's part of the Pride in Millville awards ceremony that's run by the Millville Chamber of Commerce. We will be there, QBC TV 22, to televise it live, and then we'll show it about 25 times because it's Craig. Anybody else would have showed it 5, but George, make sure we put that down. Show this one 25 times because Craig's helped us a lot here at Quinn Broadcasting as well, filling in, doing play-by-play and color commentary and things of that nature. So we'll be back to talk more with Craig Atkinson right after these messages.
Many people treat their health like a game. With Complete Care Health Network, it's easy to start your healthcare journey. Just select from our specialties and schedule online, by phone, or on our app. Our entire team communicates with one another, so everyone works together on your total health. Plus, we make it even easier with all of these additional benefits. Level up your health with us. Complete Care Health Network. No games, just great health care for everyone.
At Mintz Insurance, we're proud to have been serving our customers for nearly 80 years, offering 30 different insurance products for your auto, home, and business. And to help ensure that you're getting the best rates possible, we give you up to 3 quotes for every policy, so you can choose what's right for you. At Mintz, we're part of the community, local representatives, supporting events, and proud of it. It's part of who we are. Mintz Insurance. Call today and find out how we can help you save on insurance, or visit us at mintzinsurance.com.
Hello, my name is Craig Atkinson, and I am president of the Millville Thunderbolt Club. The mission of the Thunderbolt Club is to enhance the athletic experience of Millville High School student athletes. We provide a myriad of services for these athletes, including end-of-year recognition banquets for all teams, stipends for teams and individual athletes, college scholarships of $35,000 per year, meals for special events, as well as hosting the Mike Trout Millville Thunderbolt Club Golf Tournament and the Millville Sports Hall of Fame. Please visit our website at millvillethunderboltclub.com for additional information.
More than a century ago, General Tire was born, right here in America. Since then, we've made a name for ourselves by making tires you can depend on. Tires built to handle any road this country can throw at them, and relied on by every kind of driver. So you know that no matter where life takes you, with General Tire, anywhere is possible.
Welcome back to Around South Jersey. My special guest is Craig Atkinson, who is the 2025 Pride in Millville Award recipient, and very, very well earned, Craig. And how many years have you been president of the Thunderbolt Club?
I thought you were going to ask me that. I think it's been probably maybe like 15 or 17 years, something like that. I have to go
Been on
to the
quite a
notes
while.
and look it up. It's been quite a while.
Yeah. Who did you take over from?
Well, Steve Young was president for quite a while, and then I think Tom Ayers took over. No, Tim took over.
Okay,
Tim Shannon took
right.
over for a few years, and then Tom Ayers.
Oh,
And then we had, I forget her name, Allison Stadnick
oh yeah. Mhm.
became president for a couple years, and then I think I might have been between. Wait a minute, let me back up. So Doc Beebe was in there too. I can't remember the exact progression, but I was president for a couple years,
Uh-huh.
like maybe between Tom Ayers and Doc Beebe, and then Tom Ayers and then Allison, and then I became president again.
I see.
So I served a few years, and then I came back later, and it's been like 15 or 17 years. So we've been at the new clubhouse for 25 years now.
Yeah, I was thinking
So-
I was mayor when Nick Aselda helped to get some money to
Right.
finish the Christmas tree.
Well,
money.
Tim had a telethon here on a Saturday.
Yeah, that's right. I do remember
all day
that.
on a Saturday.
Yes,
and I think
yeah.
they raised like $50,000.
Well, and I think it was Oliver Brothers or somebody gave a roof job.
Right. Yeah, there was a lot of people that contributed.
Yeah, that's true.
Really,
Yeah.
I mean, the community came together
Yeah.
and really helped out. And
Boy, what a
then Nick
beautiful building.
Aselda went
Yeah.
to the state
He was our state senator.
and he got us a grant to pay. I think we had $75,000 left on the mortgage, and he got a grant and paid for that, and we had
Mortgage
you know,
free.
we were free and clear of our mortgage, which
Yeah.
was fantastic.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful building, folks. If you haven't been in it, my God, it's phenomenal. And then the contents of the building, we could spend hours just talking about all the great people that are being honored in the building and everything that goes on. And there's so many wonderful things. They throw banquets for all the sports students, the athletes, and all those kind of things. And I always enjoy the induction ceremony, which everybody, except you got to cut Hoover down a little bit. He talks too much.
Right, we have the Bill Hoover rule, which
I love him.
we're going to have to get some kind of stick to pull people off the stage. But when we honor usually like at least 5 individuals, and usually a team, and usually a coach, and then we have a lifetime achievement award. So everybody has a chance to speak, and if you let them go on, you'll be there all night. So we try to limit the time that they speak, but you still try to let them, thank everybody and so on and so forth. But originally we had the Al Caldwell rule, because he went on and on.
Did he also? Okay.
One year he went on, I think he was inducting Calvin Murray.
Oh, yeah.
And he went on and on and on and on and on. Now we had changed that to the Bill Hoover rule, which limits you to like 5 or 10 minutes to speak. But it's a lot of fun, and it's our biggest night of the year at the Thunderbolt Club. We get a couple hundred people that come every year, and it's free. We don't charge anything for that, and I'm so honored when I am able to introduce or talk about the people that get inducted. The sports careers that Millville athletes have had over the years is phenomenal. And people might not even realize it, but just a girl like last year we inducted Carrie Merritt.
Oh my God, I knew
If
Carrie
you
from
read her
softball.
biography, it's just
Unreal.
phenomenal.
Yeah, she was a super athlete.
It really makes the committee's job easy it's easy to put them in, but here's the hard part. Who do we put in? Because there's literally
So many,
hundreds of people that have the resumes to go into the Millville Sports Hall of Fame.
Boy, that's true.
And so the committee has to do a fine job, to figure out who they're going to induct. And, people will come up to me and say, how come so-and-so's not in yet? Well, they'll get in. It's just a matter of time because you can only put so many people in per year.
Yeah. Got this cute Carrie Merritt story. I was the all-star manager for the 13 to 15-year-old girls all-star team. And, of course, Carrie was super. I mean, just the best catcher you'd ever see and everything. And what I tried to do was I would make up before the game. You had 14 girls. So 10 could play and 4 had to sit.
Right.
So I tried to set it up, and usually you play double headers, so that worked out pretty well. So I had 14 innings to get all the girls in. So I made sure I did that all the time. Well, this one game, we were up Pine Hill, in fact, and all of a sudden I realized we are beating the other team so bad that whatever they call it, the emergency rule, whatever that
the mercy
rule. Thank you. The mercy rule is going to come into play. So I got Kiki Deinzer on the bench with me. I said, Kiki, where would you like to play? Oh, Mr. Quinn, I'd like to be the catcher. I said, okay. So I told Carrie, I said, you're coming out. And Kiki went in, and I never heard the end of it. Carrie's dad came over to me, what are you doing? She's never been taken out of the game before. I said, it's nothing personal, but I got to get everybody in. And Kiki wanted to play catcher. But, yeah, what a great and, of course, in many other sports, too. Carrie was just a super athlete and a great young lady.
And she's still
in great shape.
Triathlons and things like that.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, you're right. I mean, you think back, we've got so many talented people. My God, boys and girls both. I mean, just super athletes. And, well, as you mentioned, Calvin Murray and Bubba Green, of course. Now we got Quinn Allen is playing Jacksonville Jaguars. And, boy, I was saying to somebody the other day, when I first started doing the play-by-play, the toughest thing was the Polish, Ukrainian, long names that, were a little tougher to say, not like Atkinson or Shannon or Quinn. And then all of a sudden, the last 20 years, it's the first names. Lotzier? I'd never heard of a Lotzier in my life, and you got all these different first names that are given out. And it's been a little bit different, but
Well, talking about that, I was having a conversation with my brother-in-law the other day, and we were talking about the Millville Thunderbolt Club, and we have plaques there that honor all South Jersey, all state, athletes,
Right.
and we have one that's professional athletes. And I was telling my brother-in-law, and he's like, "What do you got? Like 3 or 4 people on that plaque?" I'm like, "No, we have like 25 people."
Really? Wow.
Professional? Oh yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you in all the sports,
Yeah,
it's
right,
not just
yeah.
football, but
Yeah.
if you look at all the professional athletes, baseball, and going from Larry Milbourne back when my brother
Yeah.
played,
Yeah.
Bubba, Calvin, Jeff, Mike,
Yeah.
list
Yeah.
goes on, and there's some females on there as well, who I can't really think of right now, but Jimmy McCormick's uncle, Leon Horn,
Yeah.
had a
Right.
little stint in professional
Yeah.
football. So, Millville is a sports town.
It sure is. I don't know if you got a chance to talk with Coach Serace, but he emailed me a question. It was like the answer was actually Larry Milbourne.
Yeah,
Did
he
you see
did.
it? Yeah,
I did
okay.
see that.
That was
yeah,
pretty
where
cool, wasn't
he
it?
played
Yeah.
for the Yankees
Yeah.
when Bucky
Seattle,
Dent got
yeah.
hurt.
Yeah.
In that, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And I'll tell you, I loved his dad. I mean, I used to stand at baseball games and watch him. And, of course, he had 2 brothers, Paul and
Monty.
right?
Right.
They were all 3 really good
Oh
athletes.
yeah, fantastic baseball
In
players.
fact, Paul is Tony Serace's neighbor now out to the
Yeah,
Four Seasons
right.
and stuff. Paul taught. And just great people. And, Dad, I loved talking to him. He loved baseball. And,
Yeah.
we talked about the things that were going on. And they were really good guys to, see. And it's something when you think about all the great athletes that we've had over all these years. It's just mind-boggling.
It is.
And one thing, coming back to what you were saying, and I didn't ask you at that point in time if Carl Frank was involved in midget football, but when you look at the feeder leagues, midget football has always been a great feeder league to the high school football, and so is the little leagues. Although
Right.
now they've sort of gotten not like they used to be,
Right.
but the little leagues were very, very good. But one thing we've never had, though, was a real good feeder basketball program. At least I haven't seen any. We did have a midget wrestling
Yeah.
program for a while, but
When I was young, I mean, we played a lot of basketball, in grammar school and in middle school, like down at City Park, especially in the summer times. And they started like a 7th and 8th grade league in the summer. I remember playing at Memorial in 7th and 8th grade basketball. But and I when my son played basketball, in that age group, I coached the 7th and 8th grade league.
Okay.
We played over at Prudential Building, the Prudential School,
right, yeah,
and Lakeside School.
right.
And, basketball, interesting sport because, you're only playing 5 guys.
Yeah. Right.
And, you can get, obviously from Millville, with the Shaw Hutchings era,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
a team that really shines, and it seems like they come up from out of nowhere, like Middle Township. Middle Township
Yeah.
will have a team, they'll be state champs.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's amazing.
And or a place like Camden, they
Yeah.
come up with 5 kids.
Yeah.
They're just phenomenal. And then all 5 of the kids, you see, they're playing college basketball somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah,
You know?
that's true.
So having that feeder program sometimes is a little. I think we have a good feeder program, but it's sometimes a misnomer because these other schools come up with really good,
Yeah.
fivesomes, every year, and sometimes you can't compete with them,
Yeah.
because of size or whatever, athletic ability.
Yeah, that's a good
So-
point. Well, you mentioned your son for a little bit. Let's talk about your family. Your son is 32, you told me?
My son Chris is
Chris.
32. He's a police officer in Hamilton Township,
Mays Landing.
down in Mays Landing, right? He's striving to be a detective
Oh,
if
that's
he
great.
can. He's had a couple interviews, so we're keeping our fingers crossed. My daughter Jessica is 34. She is working for the State Department of Health in Trenton.
Oh, that's great.
She's an analyst in the substance abuse area.
Well, she's
She
busy
an-
there, then,
She
that's for sure.
analyzes the fentanyl deaths.
Oh, okay.
She also writes grants and is in control of a lot of the grants for each of the county health departments. And that keeps her quite busy trying to help them receive their grants and
I
things
see.
like that. So I think she has 4 or 5 direct reports that report to her. She's been there. She started out in the Cumberland County Health Department and
Oh,
then
okay.
moved on
Oh,
to
that's
the
good.
state health department. And she's received a couple of promotions, so
That's great.
she likes doing that, and she, is very involved in that. So, and her husband is actually George Mitchell's grandson, Dan Fullerton.
Oh, sure. Yes, I
And
do know that. Yeah.
They got married a few years back, and he's actually completing his residency for medical doctor
Oh,
at
that's
Cooper.
fantastic.
He's
That's
in
great.
his 3rd year of residency at Cooper. They actually named him chief resident
Wow,
for the
that's
coming year.
Fantastic.
And they live up in a small little town called Magnolia,
Mhm.
near Deptford. Have a little house that was built like in the 1800s, which keeps me busy on
Repair.
fixing things for repairs. And my wife Patty,
Yeah,
been
she's a
married
sweetheart.
married for 30 some years. I should know that exactly,
Yeah.
shouldn't I?
And you met Patty
I
at
met
graduate
her at
school?
graduate school at Temple. We both went to Temple, and
Where did she grow up?
she grew up like in Lancaster and Langhorne, Pennsylvania, a couple
Right.
of different spots in that Bristol, Pennsylvania area. And her sister's still around. She lives up in Langhorne right now. But we've been married for, we got married in 87, so that's 38 years, something like
Yeah.
that.
Right.
She was a teacher at Millville schools
Oh,
for
that's good.
30,
Oh, wow.
30 years.
That's fantastic. What
Yes.
school did you teach at?
She taught mostly at Memorial,
Okay.
a couple years at the high school. She was a special ed teacher.
Yeah, I did that too.
Yeah, that's what you mentioned. And for maybe the last 15, 18 years of her career, she was actually a literacy coach.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Where Millville was an Abbott district, one of the criteria was to have a literacy coach that taught the teachers. She actually
wow.
trained the teachers in different teaching methods for the last 15 or 18 years of her career.
Oh, that's
So,
fantastic.
and she really enjoyed doing that. Sometimes the teachers are the worst students, as you know. But yeah, she retired probably 5 or 6 years ago, and I retired. I retired in 21, so 4 years ago.
Well, and let's talk about that too, because when I went back to the Freeholder Board, you were the HR director. How many? You used 14 years. You said, was it 17 years?
Not at the county.
Oh, okay.
I was only there for 8 years.
Okay.
But I was at Millville Rescue Squad
Oh, that's true. That's yeah.
for about 12 years, and then went on to the county. Before that, I was at the Morey Company and Millville Hospital, well, South Jersey Health System for a few years
Oh, wow.
in the HR departments.
Mhm.
Also the health and safety fields with workers' comp and things like that. So I had about a 35-year career in human resources and health and
Wow.
safety.
That'd be rewarding, huh?
It was very,
Challenging,
I'm
too.
kind of challenging.
Yeah.
I'm a problem solver.
Yeah, which is great.
I'm an agent of change, I think. And I was of the philosophy of really taking care of your employees as much as you could, because I felt that you have a better employee
Yeah, if they're happy.
if you could take care of them,
Yeah.
not give them everything that they wanted,
Right.
but at least help them out. I really enjoyed problem solving with the different situations that could arise in a workplace, and also just following the federal and state laws was a challenge in
Oh,
itself
sure.
because of all the changes. I worked at the county through COVID.
Yeah,
That was
I
a
know.
really challenging
Thank God
situation.
you made it through COVID without too much problem. I got to tell you, I very frustrated. It was the Democrats that did it, but we had. I don't know if did you work in the big administration building?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, this was the building that you should have for a county. It was big, and in fact, Jimmy Sorrow and I were talking about, Craig, if you remember, you come in the front door, and right ahead was the elevator. Well, they had built that so they could build another addition if they needed to the right side of the building.
Right.
So all of a sudden, I don't know who was there, but they decided, oh, well, we're going to turn this into a charter school, and I guess it was going to help rateable for Brixton and all. But what they did was they went from this nice big building to a bandbox. I'm telling you, I mean, and I love Paul Ritter, Paul Ritter had that building for Cumberland Insurance, and it was too small for them. And then you put the county in there, and a lot of COVID spread because of those little cubicles, and there wasn't a lot of space in that building. And I won't go all there, but it was very frustrating to see. And another factor, I'm thinking, if I'm coming down from Morris County and I want to go see Cumberland County, and I go, this is their administration building? Are you kidding me? I mean, it was an old insurance building that Cumberland Insurance outgrew.
Right.
But, I still, that frustrated me very much so. I don't know who to blame it on. It doesn't matter. It's happened.
Right.
But so you worked in a good building,
Yeah.
and then you had to move.
Exactly. I worked at a very nice office. That building was really nice. It was next to Public Works.
Yeah,
and
and
the
library, which made sense. The Office on Aging was there.
Office on Aging, and then we did move to basically downtown Bridgeton.
Yeah.
And it was a very small building. It was, a lot of employees crammed in
Yeah.
a very small area. And you're right, and COVID did happen.
Yeah.
And I was in a hallway, as a matter of fact.
You were lucky you didn't get COVID.
Well, I actually, because of my illness, I have
Oh, that's right.
leukemia.
I forgot about that.
I actually left maybe like 1 week before everybody in that hallway got COVID.
Yeah.
And actually, the secretary, Beth
Kostock, who
she
I loved.
she almost died.
I know, and her husband did, Bill.
He did.
Yeah.
And Ted Baker, who was next to
Yeah.
me, he was at county council. He got it really bad. He was out of work for like a month.
Yeah.
And
But that's because everybody's crammed in.
everybody was crammed in. It was a very
Yeah.
small building,
Yeah.
but
I have a really nice story about Beth and Bill. I was freeholder director back in the late 80s, I guess it was. No. It was late 89, 90 was when I was freeholder director. Chuck Fisher had passed away, and I
Right.
was the deputy, and I moved in. And of course, again, we were in this really nice big building. So I had, a real nice office, and Beth, at that time, her name was Blandino. She was right outside of my door, and super lady, just a wonderful person. And one day I got talking to her, and I like to play matchmaker. And Bill Kostock, who was a super guy, his wife had left him, and Bill was in the engineering department. So I said, Beth, do you want to meet this guy named Bill? Yeah, okay. So I took them to lunch at Benjamin's in downtown Bridgeton.
right.
Bam, they hit it off, and I even got to do the wedding. So, I mean, that was a
Right.
wonderful experience. I was so
Yeah.
happy for Beth. And, of course, unfortunately, Bill suffered, and he got the COVID.
Yeah.
It
Right.
caused him to pass away. But
But she actually
she struggled.
went back to work though.
Yeah.
So
Oh, that's good.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just a wonderful person. And there were an awful lot of wonderful people that I dealt with when I was freeholder director in the building, the big building that was there. And Ken McCouch was my purchasing agent. And then, of
Right.
course, he moved up to administrator, and
Right.
Chuck Fisher had picked him, and Dave.
Right.
Great, thank you. Yeah, he was my administrator when I first got in as well.
Ken was my boss when I worked for the county. So
Yeah.
great guy to work for.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, and then, of course, Jody Harada, and who was the woman?
Kim Wood.
Kim Wood, thank you. Yeah, she was the administrator.
Right when
Board of
Ken
Directors.
retired,
Yeah.
Kim took over,
Yeah.
and then Jody came in
Yeah.
as assistant
to her,
administrator.
Yeah. Well, we're talking with Craig Atkinson about his great career and all the good things he's done. And this Thursday, the 22nd, will be the Pride in Millville Awards dinner banquet, and it's at the Leeway Theater. Folks, it's fabulous. They have all kind of great foods in the mezzanine area. Then you go sit and you watch the program, and there's a lot of people being honored, but Craig is the man. He's the man of the year, getting the Pride in Millville Award, and rightfully so. And we'll be back to talk more with Craig right after these messages.
C&H Disposal Service has provided customers with the best customer service possible since 1981. C&H Disposal Service provides trash removal, dumpster rentals, septic cleaning, repair and installation, septic system certifications, portable restroom rentals, and demolition. With great customer service and competitive pricing, C&H Disposal Service has you covered at the home and on the job. C&H Disposal Service. Stick with the best.
Many people treat their health like a game. With the Complete Care Health Network, it's easy to start your healthcare journey. Our mental health services focus on the emotions and behaviors that affect your overall well-being and features psychiatric, counseling, and addiction services, including our exclusive Fresh Start program, designed to help combat the opioid epidemic in our communities, plus all the other specialties you expect from Complete Care. Level up your health with us. The Complete Care Health Network. No games, just great healthcare for everyone.
Hello, my name is Craig Atkinson, and I am president of the Millville Thunderbolt Club. The mission of the Thunderbolt Club is to enhance the athletic experience of Millville High School student athletes. We provide a myriad of services for these athletes, including end-of-year recognition banquets for all teams, stipends for teams and individual athletes, college scholarships of $35,000 per year, meals for special events, as well as hosting the Mike Trout Millville Thunderbolt Club Golf Tournament and the Millville Sports Hall of Fame. Please visit our website at millvillethunderboltclub.com for additional information.
At Mintz Insurance, we're proud to have been serving our customers for nearly 80 years, offering 30 different insurance products for your auto, home, and business. And to help ensure that you're getting the best rates possible, we give you up to 3 quotes for every policy, so you can choose what's right for you. At Mintz, we're part of the community, local representatives, supporting events, and proud of it. It's part of who we are. Mintz Insurance. Call today and find out how we can help you save on insurance, or visit us at mintzinsurance.com.
Welcome back to Around South Jersey. My special guest is Craig Atkinson, the 2025 Pride in Millville Award winner for this year. And I got to tell you, Craig used to get mad at me. And I'll tell you, Craig, tell him why he used to get mad at me.
Because you used to call me Rick.
That's his brother.
My brother.
Yeah, well.
I'd say, Jim, I'm Craig, not Rick. I'm taller than Rick.
And I wasn't that old then. It wasn't like senility was setting in. I don't know why, but I always called Craig Rick. But Rick was a pretty good athlete, if I remember.
Very good.
Played baseball.
My brother, football and baseball. He played football at Kutztown.
Oh, wow.
He
That's
was a
fantastic.
flanker at Kutztown. But, yeah, his claim to fame, I think, I'm pretty sure he was all South Jersey, and the 2 guys ahead of him at running back were Franco Harris and Lydell Mitchell.
Oh, my God. He was in some
So he
good
was like
company.
the third,
Wow.
below them. But
That's
he was a little guy. I mean, it's funny that last fall there was floating around it was a video of the Millville Vineland 1966 football game.
Huh.
Part of it, and it was a guy. I think he filmed it in the stands.
Oh, wow.
But it was color, and so my brother was playing. Dale Finch was a quarterback,
Okay.
and but I went to all my brother's games. I mean, I know he was only 5'6", 130 pounds.
Wow.
But he was tough. Yeah, he
He
was
had
tough.
that Atkinson blood. Go
Yeah,
get him.
he
You were
played-
young then, right?
Yeah, he's 8 years older than
Yeah.
me. So when he was in high school, I'm like 8 or 10 years
So
old.
Culver School with Timmy.
Right, but we went to every game.
Yeah.
I remember going. They used to play Ben Salem.
I remember that
And
too.
we drove up,
Yeah.
to
Wow.
Ben Salem.
Yeah.
They played Pennsauken when Barbo's coached Pennsauken.
That's right. I do remember that too.
So, I went to every game and still remember the games. Vineland kicked their butts big time 2 years in a row. It was 34-0 and 31-0
Wow.
his junior and senior year. Vineland had some really good teams then. Butchie Ducharme played quarterback then.
Yeah, it was a very good ball player.
And we went to every game. But he was a good football player and went on and played a few years at Kutztown. And we went to all his games, Kutztown. But he followed me too. I always tell the story about we played University of New Hampshire up in Manchester, New Hampshire, and it was probably 35 degrees and misty rain, snowing. And there were 3 people in the visitor stands.
Oh, jeez.
And I was looking it up, and it was my mom, my dad, and my brother. So, he went to all my games, and
That's nice.
he gave me a hard time. Like Kutztown and Westchester,
Yeah, that's
played
right,
each other
yeah.
all the time.
His alma mater against your alma mater.
Right, and I'm pretty sure when I was at Westchester, Kutztown had never beaten Westchester ever in history of the
Wow.
series.
Holy cow.
So, but I remember before my senior year Kutztown game, he came up to me and said, "This is the year they're going to beat you this year." And they didn't beat us, but last fall, Kutztown had a fantastic season,
Oh, that's good.
and Westchester didn't. And he was texting me like every weekend, "Hey, Kutztown won," and they actually made the playoffs,
Wow.
and they won a couple games in the Division II playoffs last
Super.
year. So
Did you play quarterback for Westchester?
yeah,
That's
oh,
super.
absolutely, yeah.
Well, now he's younger. Did you know Chris Marachko?
No,
He's Paul McCluskey's son-in-law. He's my eye doctor. He has ideal vision.
right.
And it was interesting because Tony went to Westchester too, right?
Yes.
To race. And Chris was showing me, they honored Tony's team or something, and they put a picture up, and Chris had it in his office. He said, "Jim, come here, I want you to see this picture." And what it was the picture of when Chris was playing, but they pretended it was the one when Tony was playing. So he showed me where he was in the picture of the
Yeah.
Westchester and all that stuff. Yeah, he's a great guy. He really is.
Well, the funny thing about the Westchester Kutztown thing is I saw the game where my brother played for Kutztown and Tony Cerise played for Westchester.
No kidding. Wow.
They played
That's right,
against
they're about
each
the same
other.
age. Huh.
Right. And actually, Westchester was renovating their stadium that year, and they had to play at Henderson High School in like downtown Westchester. They couldn't play at the Westchester Stadium. So, but I remember going to that game, and Westchester beat them 63-0.
Wow. Holy
So,
cow.
one really.
What did Tony, was he a center? Do you remember?
Tony played defensive guard.
Oh, okay.
They played a 6-2, so they had 6 down linemen, and he played defensive guard. And the linebacker that played behind him was a guy named Carl Gershbach, who actually played for the Minnesota Vikings.
Oh, wow.
He got drafted by the Vikings and played several years with the Vikings. And the guy I played with, my receiver that I threw to, a guy named Joe Sensor, he played for the Vikings for about 5 or 6 years as a tight end for the Vikings under Bud Grant. So we used to go up and visit him and watch the Vikings games during early 80s. This was back in the early 80s. And Bud Grant was their coach. But and he was good. He was all pro a couple years, and he played with a quarterback named Tommy Kramer from Rice. So, but great guy. I mean, 6'5", 250, ran about a 4.7 40.
Wow.
Had the greatest hands. He actually played basketball as well.
Oh,
And
geez.
when we played at Westchester, basketball is Division I. And they played like the Big Five schools, Temple and
Wow.
St. Joe and those. And Joe was a starter for the basketball team as well as the football team, and actually broke 2 records. He broke Lou Alcindor, who was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's
Right.
record
Yeah.
for field goal percentage. This is Division
Wow.
I
Holy
season
cow.
field goal percentage. He shot like 69% and broke Lou Alcindor's record. And then his senior year, our senior year, he broke Bill Walton's career field goal percentage
Holy
record
cow.
of like 63% or something like that. But he was just a phenomenal athlete.
Oh, my God, I guess so.
He played summer league baseball in Westchester. We'd go bowling. He would bowl like 280, 290. Just, he was like the Bud McAvoy.
It's funny. I
know.
was just going to mention Bud McAvoy.
Yeah.
Tell everybody how old Bud McAvoy was one of the greatest athletes in Millville. Tell everybody about how old he is and what he golfs.
So I just played with him yesterday.
Okay.
He's going to be 93, I think, in July. He's 92 right now. But last year he shot 72 at running deer and can hit the ball almost as far as us guys, as far as we hit it, and keeps up with us and, is involved with our bets. And so last year he made a hole-in-one
Wow.
on the 5th hole, and I said, Bud, how many hole-in-ones have you had? He goes, 11. He's had 11 hole-in-ones
Wow.
in his career, and he has the sweetest swing, and he hits it on the sweet spot like every time.
Wow.
And he's very he's an 8 handicap.
Oh my goodness,
He's a
92. Jeez.
single-digit handicap, and we keep talking to Ron Jaworski, who owns Running Deer, about trying to get him on like some kind of Channel 3 or one of the Philadelphia stations for a human interest story.
Yeah, my God.
I mean, he broke his age by 20 strokes last year.
Wow.
You know, and he's so unassuming and humble.
Oh yeah, he is.
and-
He's not one of those braggadocious type people. You would never know how great he was. He was quarterback, wasn't he?
He was a quarterback and point guard on an undefeated basketball team.
Wow.
And he scored. He told me he averaged. What did he average? 25 points a game his senior year, and they played 22 games or something like that. All state in as a shortstop in baseball, and was recruited by Penn State.
Yeah.
And went there for a short period of time and didn't like it and came home, but remained friends with Joe Paterno.
Wow.
Up until Paterno's death, when Paterno would come to Millville and recruit, an athlete from Millville or Vineland, he always called Bud, and they went out to lunch.
Oh, that's nice.
So they always remained friends, and
I think I worked with Bud at the post office, didn't I?
he was a mailman.
Yeah.
Right, he was a
I
mailman.
was a substitute mailman for my cousin Joe Quinn. So, what
Yeah.
what a great guy. Yeah, well, you know that. I mean, it's
Yeah,
fantastic.
But last week, a friend of mine from college came down and played golf with us, and Bud was in our foursome. And it's so funny, every time he hits a shot, you say, "Good ball, Bud. Good ball, Bud." And my buddy from college said, "That's all you guys say all day is good ball, Bud. Why don't you go GBB? Shorten it down." Actually, Joe Durrell said,
That
"We
is
should
cute.
shorten it down to GBB."
So who plays with you?
Well, we have about 16 guys.
Okay.
We have Jack Saunders, Dale McCafferty, two guys from Vineland, Lucchini, Paul Reynolds, Paulie Ney plays with us
Uh-huh.
from the
like
Ney family.
yeah.
Bob Reed, Kurt Lowe, who was a Millville fireman,
Right.
Danny Schoen,
Yep.
Michael Schoen, his son. I'm sure I'm missing a couple guys, but John King, Jeff Du Bois plays with
Oh,
us.
what a great guy. Super guy.
So we try to play 3 or 4 times a week.
Do you really? Wow.
Over at Running Deer,
That's
yeah.
fantastic.
And
It's what keeps you young.
it does, and they keep that course in phenomenal shape.
That's great.
where we have our tournament every
So
year.
you're not going to belong to Mike's golf course?
Well, I'm a little short of cash. If you want to
Yeah.
loan me some money, I could maybe.
I talked to one of my friends who joined. In fact, he and his son
You have a
both
friend
joined.
that joined?
Yeah, well, you know the guy's got that money, and with taxes and everything, it was $266,000, $250, and then he paid tax on top of it all.
Yeah, why do you have to pay tax on a
That
golf
doesn't make
membership?
yeah, that doesn't make sense. I don't know. I really don't.
They charge
understand.
us tax at Running Deer.
Do they
too,
also?
huh?
Yeah, I guess the state.
We're not as
doesn't
much
make
as
money.
that, though.
What is Running Deer? Do you have? I mean, is there?
For a membership?
Yeah.
It's around $5,000 a year.
Okay.
For seniors.
Right. That's good.
Yeah, you get the senior rate. They have a different
Yeah.
rate for seniors, but
Yeah.
and the good thing is you can play all of his courses.
Oh, that's nice.
So he
Yeah.
has like 6 or 7
Yeah.
courses, and we kind of we'll go to Blue. He owns Blue Heron
Yeah.
and Downingtown, River Winds. We're gonna play
Yeah,
River
that's
Winds
really
on
a nice
Monday.
place, River Winds. Yeah.
So
That's great.
it's really nice. A nice deal
Yeah.
when you're retired. And
Yeah.
so
So what do you usually shoot?
so I'm a 6 handicap.
That's
so
good. That's great.
I shoot in the high 70s, low
That's
80s.
fantastic.
So
If I break 100, I'm happy.
right. Well, they say like 90% of the people that play golf don't ever break 100. So
I
it's a
got
tough sport.
I got to tell you, and my Republican friends won't like this, but this is a God's honest true story. My son Gary is vice president of NBC Sports. In 2006, he was running, and he still does, the Pro-Am Golf Tournament at Lake Tahoe. Well, President Trump, who wasn't president then, was playing in the tournament. So at the end of the first round of the tournament, the 3 guys playing with him, Tony Romo, Michael Jordan, and Charles Barkley, came into the NBC trailer, and they said to my son Gary, "You got to talk to this son of a gun. He's cheating on the golf course." So Gary calls him in, and he says, "Mr. Trump, this is a tournament. You can't cheat in a tournament." He said, "Son, let me tell you what. I cheat in golf. I cheat in business. I cheat on my wife. I have enough money. I can do whatever I damn well please." That was his quote. And just recently, Tom Williams was reading a book written by a New York sports guy, That quote is on page 257 of the book. So he told everybody that as well.
Right.
And hey, what the heck? He's the most popular man in the world. I mean,
Right.
so it doesn't matter. You can get away with whatever you want. And oh, this is funny too. I don't know if you remember Jack Michael from Don Michael's Benson Boys Shop in Atlanta. I was at Winfield's one night and he was there, and he said, "Hey Jim," he said, "do you know John Scarpa?" I said, "Yeah, I do know John." He said, "Did you know John plays golf with Donald Trump?" I said, "No, I didn't." He said, "Did you know Donald Trump cheats at golf?" I said, "Yes, that I did know."
Right,
So, you don't want him in your foursome, you know.
Well, the funny story about something like that is there's a guy, you remember Rick Dichter?
I do very well.
And you remember
Tennis.
his brother, Andy
I
Dichter?
do. Yes. Yeah.
So Andy was like a 5-star
Yeah,
general
Yes, exactly.
at the Pentagon
Yeah.
for the Air Force or Navy or
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
So he's friends with Brian Tomlin, and so John Red and I played Brian Tomlin and Andy Dichter. He came up and visited, and we played running deer, and we got to the 9th hole, and Andy had like about an 8-foot putt for par to tie the hole.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, in Washington they'll say, "That's good, General." And I said,
You're not.
"It's not. You're not Washington, General. Putt it." And he missed
Listen,
it,
give
so
me.
we won the front 9. But yeah,
Well,
I'll
Craig,
play that game.
first of all, I want to thank you for everything you do for Quinn Broadcasting. Whenever I need somebody, Craig's there. He'll help out, do play-by-play. He hosted the opening of the new Wheaton Field,
Right.
John Barbeau Stadium, and with that, to Tony Trongone's credit, what a great effort he put in.
Right, absolutely,
all that
yeah.
stuff. And I was talking there. You see right there is the opening of the field, and Craig was a master of ceremonies as we televised that. And thank you for all you do for the community, and thanks for being such a good friend. And,
You're welcome.
And he hasn't yelled at me lately because I still call him Craig. I've got it straight
Right.
yet.
You've been getting it right lately, Jim.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you.
As I'm getting older, I'm getting it right. I was dumber when I was younger, but tell Rick I said hello too. And anyway, our guest has been Craig Atkinson, who is the 2015 Pride in Millville Award recipient. Come on out on the 22nd. It starts at 5:30, I think 6 o'clock.
5:30, yeah.
5:30, and great foods. And then you can go down in the Leroy area, and everything will be done on the stage. And there's a lot of other people being honored, a lot of businesses being honored. So please come out and salute Greg and all the
Craig.
Yeah, there you go. And salute Craig and
Very
all the
good,
other
Jim.
people that will
Craig
be-
with a C.
Yes. Thanks a lot, Craig. Appreciate it. George
You're welcome.
Kachia, thanks for producing the show today, folks. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again real soon. Take care. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
This has been a QBC television production, in association with our partners and sponsors. QBC broadcasts on Comcast Cable Channel 22, and live streams its programming on Facebook and YouTube. All rights reserved by Quinn Media and QBC, programming that serves the South Jersey market.